They want us to think that we're an insignificant speck of dust, but let me tell you, we are so much more than dust in the wind.
At least 4 billion useless eaters will be eliminated by the year 2050.
I'm still waiting for somebody to show me gas pressure without a container.
I personally don't believe anything they say, right down to the God they claim they worship.
None of the math adds up.
You could stack up all their math books, all their science books, and even put all their degrees stacked up on top of that, and you still wouldn't be high enough to see the curvature.
This is exactly why grounding is so important.
We see too far.
We're just regular people who know we're being lied to. We're tired of it.
The bottom line is, there's only one choice left, and that's to dismantle this whole thing from the top down.
Welcome to the Phone Booth Podcast. Please keep your arms and legs inside the phone booth at all times. We are not responsible for any lost or stolen souls, destroyed realities, or blown minds. I am Ted Theodore Logan, here with Bill, Rufus, and Death. And tonight we have a very special guest, Matt Rife. Yeah, why don't you tell people who you are, and I guess, for lack of a better term, your family legacy that you're carrying on now, if that's the right way to put it?
Yes. So my name is Matthew Rife. A lot of people know my name. Well, for one, there's this gay comedian that's going around making fun of trans people and trying to get canceled, but he's not doing a good enough job. So, I mean, he's weak in that aspect. But my great uncle was Dr. Royal Raymond Rife, and he invented something called the Rife machine. Well, it got dubbed the Rife machine over time. In the beginning, people just referred to it as Rife's frequency generator. And he just called it the frequency generator. And so it was him and Nikola Tesla and a couple other scientists. They all worked together. And Tesla and Roy were out drinking one night by a fire, and they were just tossing ideas around. And they was talking about how everything is energy and frequency and just light. So they said, well, if everything is energy, we can use energy to be able to defeat the things that we don't want. And I use this analogy a lot because where I deal with frequencies, people are like, oh, I heard EMFs are bad. I'm like, well, yeah, there are bad ones. But if there's bad, they're not just called EMFs. They're called bad EMFs. Therefore, there are good EMFs. So this is a theory they went with, and Roy started messing around with it. He built a frequency generator. He built it out of quartz. And then he had noble gases inside the quartz glass cell, or the quartz cell. It's called a plasma cell.
Yeah.
And he used the 3 gases in the beginning. He went down to 2, and then he went down to 1. But he built this, and he ran tests with carcinoma virus. He called it BX virus, and it destroyed the virus. He would match the frequency of the virus. And just like an opera singer will sing and match the exact pitch of a glass, and she can up her amplitude to the point to where that glass can no longer handle the oscillation of it shaking so hard because it's resonant that it would shatter. So one thing you have to do is overpower it. So Roy did this with cancer cells. He would match the resonant frequency, and he would make it oscillate. And he was making cancer cells oscillate to the point that proteins would not align. If proteins do not align in the cancer cell, then it doesn't split. I mean, if it does split, it's called a daughter cell. It's dead anyway. But your lymphatic system just processes this out as waste. Mm-hmm. So I studied this stuff growing up, and I didn't know who Roy was. I just knew him as Uncle Roy. Yeah. And I got a Nokia phone whenever I was 18, and I moved away from the mountains. I was finally able to get a cell phone signal, and I started looking up all my family members, like my mom and my dad and myself, and I looked up Roy eventually, and I found out, well, this dude's freaking famous. And I was like, no, this isn't my Uncle Roy. And so I went and I asked my grandfather. And he's like, that's your Uncle Roy. That's Royal Raymond Rife. So I was like, holy crap. And then, like, everything kind of clicked. Don't say anything about this. Don't tell anybody, Matt. Just learn it. Keep the knowledge. Work hard. Raise a family. Be happy. And, that's what clicked is like, oh, holy crap. This is some dangerous stuff against the powers that be. Like, we all see how the world works, especially after the internet was developed. We have news media that's controlled. We have corporations that are controlled. And then the corporations control the government entities, our politicians. Like, they do buy them out. So this is a reason that it was dangerous. And I sat on it for years. I just kept on doing things. Like, I've always had like a love for electronics and energy and frequency and electrical systems. And also just mechanic ability. It runs in my genes.
I was going to say, that's crazy that you were looking into this before you even know anything about your uncle.
Yeah, my grandfather would teach me this stuff growing up. I remember being like 5 years old, like after school, and we was sitting down at the kitchen table, and he was going over different components, and one of them was a spark gap. And I remember learning all this stuff, and I just thought it was fun. And he was kind of a butthole, because if I had a question, he would be like, "Well, figure it out." And like, I was like, "Man, you're a dick." But growing up later, I thought I was being the dick, because he'd come to me and say, "Hey, you have any questions about anything?" "No, I'll figure it out."
Yeah.
And
Turn it right around. I love it.
yeah, so it kind of led me down this path of like self-discovery, figuring things out on my own, not being dependent upon anybody. And he's still the same today. Like, even after he passes, he's not going to give anybody in the family anything, because he relies on hard work and effort and morals and ethics. Earn it and you'll appreciate it more, and do not abuse the things that you do have.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so that's who he is, guys. You guys listening? So how did you, like, if you didn't grow up with them talking about your uncle and know specifically about him, what brought you back to this?
So I've always done this, right? Like, I've always had an interest in this, and this is just something that was just ingrained in me as a young kid. And I don't know if, it's nature versus nurture, what really instilled it into me. But I've just always had a fascination with electrical systems and building stuff. Like, I have a cabin in Kentucky I built. And I just always loved doing it. I used to work. I've always done tree work on the side of no matter what I did, and that has a lot of physics in it. Like, whenever you stair step down a 50-foot tree to make it twist midair as it's falling and hit the ground just the way you want it to.
Yeah.
So it's just always something that's been in me. But during COVID, I saw people like lose all faith in the allopathic medical system, because doctors were being censored. Nobody could say anything. If it was an opposing view, nobody wanted it. And then the politicians made this big back and forth about the vaccines. Like, oh, well, if Trump made it, I'm not going to take it. And then it's like, oh, I'm definitely going to take it because Trump's out of office. I'm like, this is the oddest thing.
Yeah.
Like, you have scholars that are sitting in scholar seats, and they're teaching scholastic things to other people, and these are their expertise, and they say, oh, I'm just gonna listen to this person because this is what I have to say. And it's like, who are you? Like, you're not a scholar, you're not doing work, you're a parrot. So a lot of people lost faith, and I was like, I'm gonna build one or two of these, for a little extra cash, and maybe sell them. And I sold my first one, and then it just kind of blew up from there, and I couldn't slow it down. So it's just, now I own Rife Technology Incorporated. I had to upgrade to a corporation. I own Rife Center, which is an LLC, to where people can come in for therapeutic sessions. Oh, and by the way, guys, I'm not a doctor. Don't listen to me. This is not medical advice.
This is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease. Or whatever
exactly.
they say.
Yeah, that's it. That's
no
it.
claims.
Yep, no claims at all. This is therapeutic.
It's
this
just
is to
cool stuff.
assist you.
Just cool stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I'm going to listen to you.
Yeah. So
you should, Death. You should be on my side.
So for the people that don't know, what do the machines do? How, I know it's very touchy, and I know you can't say certain things, but just to give people an idea of What therapeutic things do they offer?
The biggest one is pain. So I'll explain how the human body works first. The human body is a carbon-based you're a carbon-based electrical being, right? You have what's called electrical synapses that runs through your body. And these go throughout the nerves into the muscle, everything. And it's just a communication. It's an electrical charge that flows throughout. Now, I build what's called an electromagnetic frequency wave field generator. So there's specialized coils that I've been able to design and to work out correctly to where they interface with the human body. And a lot of these companies that build Rife machines, they're not right because they cannot pump power through it because they oscillate healthy body cells to the point to where they heat up and they destroy the elasticity of the cell membrane. And my machine's completely different. And it's taken me years to be able to do this, but this is the most perfect design I've ever made. Now it sends out EMFs. Sound travels through compression, decompression. EMFs travel kind of like sound, except for it's not compression, decompression. Your energy is what is being emitted. So they can travel through the vacuum of space. They can also travel through walls. Sound cannot because it needs that atmosphere to travel. Now, EMFs, they can go through your body. Whatever it resonates with, that's where the electrical energy picks up on, and that's what sends an electrical synapses throughout your body. And if there's any inflammation in your body, this acts as a resistor on it. So this is what causes pain and disease. Like I remember a dentist telling me once, yeah, we have a bunch of people that come in and they're in pain, so we give them antibiotics. And we let them know as soon as you get rid of this inflammation, your pain will go away. And it does every time. And then they can like extract the tooth or whatever. Well, the rest of your body works the same way. And these electrical synapses can blow right through this inflammation and reduce it because now your body is communicating there and your inflammation isn't needed. Inflammation is like a barrier between whatever's attacking you and your sensory pickup within your brain. Like if a mosquito bites you, you get inflammation. That inflammation is a resistance of electrical charge to be able to help that region. Now, the inflammation is due to, I don't know what this is attacking me. Let's go ahead and automatically react and stop all communication so we don't feel any pain, and then we will assess. Well, with this, people come in all the time for arthritis, herniated disc, a degenerative disc disease, just all kinds of different pains. And whenever they walk out of the center, they walk out happy and feeling great.
Wow.
Is there like a special room that they go in, or?
Yeah, it's sorry about that. I had somebody at my door.
No problem.
Yeah, I have rooms set up inside the center that they have Faraday cages on them, and the Faraday cage is to block the EMF. So whenever it travels, the EMF, it picks up on the Faraday cage and it goes into ground. Now, the reason we have this is, we just have regular wood paneling over top of the Faraday cage, but we don't want a man in one room and a woman in the other, and the man run testosterone and the woman come out with sideburns.
Mm-hmm.
So we make sure it's safe for everybody. And you run different frequencies depending upon what you need, like stimulation here to be able to pick up there, get rid of inflammation. And, like I said, it's the therapeutic session. Just like physical therapy, you do things to strengthen your body.
Correct.
Well, sometimes your body just doesn't have it in it and you need assistance. And this provides that electrical synapses and that stimulation. And, there's been people to order these machines for cancer. And I'm not saying the machine did this, but people have written me back. Like one guy said, hey, my mom's colon cancer is completely gone. She's getting positive results. They're saying it's disappeared. We had a guy with non-small cell basal carcinoma, and he also had half of a dead heart for 3 years. Because every time you have a heart attack, a piece of your heart dies. That's that pain that they feel. Now, half of his head was dead, or heart was dead, because of how many heart attacks he's had over the years.
Yeah.
And his heart woke back up and started beating again. They took him off his beta blockers. They took him off his blood pressure medication. and he's doing amazing.
It's awesome.
Wow.
It's
And so basically what you're saying is that these machines, or not the machines, but frequency in general, has the potential to, not say cure, but destroy any disease if you match it up correctly.
There is definitely the potential to do this through frequency. Now, here recently, the FDA approved a $12,000 what was it, ultrasound frequency surgery for cancerous tumor cells, because they can send this ultrasonic wave into the body non-invasively, and to be able to target these cells. What they're doing is blasting them out of the water. What I want to do is to be able to increase people's immune system, help their mitochondria become active again, restructure water to where your body absorbs it faster and better and hydrates the mitochondria, be able to restructure all of the electrons within your body, and to where your body's functioning properly. Like, people are beaten down by radio waves every single day.
Yeah.
Like, 5G is starting to destroy testosterone in kids. We're seeing a bunch of men with prostate cancer coming about, and they always have a cell phone in their pocket.
Don't you have
So
those Faraday blanket things or whatever?
I do, and
Yeah.
I built that for kids
Yeah.
because kids always sit and they'll start gaming on their smart device, and the battery's going dead, so they plug it in. Doesn't matter if it's plugged in or not. Where are they always holding it? They're always sitting down, and it's right on their crotch. So
Yep.
this is hitting all of those reproductive organs in that region, and it's harmful to kids. It's destroying them. So I developed a Faraday cage blanket to where they can just lay over their lap. Super thin. It's a gold color. It's shiny. I'm not really one for aesthetics. I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean,
But it's effective.
Yeah.
It's very effective, and it blocks all of these waves that from the kids, and it's protecting them.
Do you have
Yeah, that's
anything for grounding, like any of the grounding blankets or sheets or anything like that?
I am developing a couple of different grounding options right now.
You should get
but
some
with
grounding
the
shoes, man. I would buy those in a heartbeat. I made a
oh,
pair of my
grounding
own.
shoes
but-
would be easy.
Mhm.
I know, but I've looked at a bunch of them, and they're never like shoes like I would actually just want to wear, unless I'm missing.
They look like
something.
moccasins.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
That's
they
a
always
good
look
point,
like
yeah.
moccasins, or I had to do a pair myself
Penny
where I
loafers.
put holes through the sole of my shoe and put copper wire, and that shit was hard to make it touch and not get ripped off and stuff. So it would be awesome to
Dude,
have
the only-
like a good looking shoe that was like that.
I'll tell you the best way to do it. Copper rivets. That's it. Get a rivet gun and a copper rivet, and just stick a rivet in the sole of your shoe.
Oh, man.
Damn, that's a really good idea.
Well, I'm an
man.
idiot.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
you.
So and it doesn't even have to go all the way through the rubber, or how does that work?
No, it does go through the rubber. You have to be able to touch skin to metal. So this is probably the reason it's always moccasins, things like that.
What if you wore is there any sock you could wear that would help it instead of being no socks, like wool or something like that? Do you know?
So wool isn't conductive,
Okay.
but I mean, you can buy Faraday cage socks and wear those, and
Oh,
that would
man.
connect you.
Oh yeah, don't they make Faraday cage underwear and shit too?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do. I don't suggest any of these things though,
Yeah.
because
I think that's a chastity belt. Ted.
Yeah, they work effectively the same.
well, so here's the problem with the Faraday clothing. I make the blankets for kids for a specific need, and because your radio signals and like your 2.4 gigahertz from your Bluetooth that's coming off your phone, these are really harmful. But wearing, like, I had a guy that came into the clinic the center the other day, and he was wearing a Faraday shirt, and I was like, "You don't need to wear that." He's like, "Why?" I thought, it's good to get rid of these high frequency EMFs, and it is. It's good to block them out, but you're also blocking out the natural frequencies.
Yeah.
You're blocking out the good.
The Schumann resonance or whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
natural frequency of the earth, whatever you want to call it, like the normal, regular frequency.
Yeah, and that's what you're blocking, and you need this. So what the Rife machine does is you have positively charged ions in the air. Okay, I'll give you an example. A deer standing in the middle of the field on a bright and sunny day, or a dog basking in the sun on a bright and sunny day, all stretched out. That deer isn't there to get shot, and that dog isn't laying there just to be lazy. What's going on is you're getting 10,000 hertz of frequency at that point. And 10,000 hertz is a detox frequency. So they're clearing out their body. They're detoxing things. How much crap do they eat especially a deer? They're eating poison ivy, many different things. And God knows what's in their dog food.
Yeah.
So the animals are detoxing themselves. So with the Faraday shark, it's blocking all of that. And you need that within your body. Well, if you run 10,000 hertz on the Rife machine, that's the ionization frequency of the ions in the air. And this is what's hitting your body. This is what your body's going to be ionized at, just like a dog laying in the sun. So it'll knock out the very high frequency EMFs. And so that's how it helps your body to be regulated.
That's awesome.
And so can you achieve this same kind of therapy using like a tuning fork, or is that more of just kind of for maintenance
Yeah, I was going
purposes?
to ask, what's the difference between just audio frequencies?
Yeah, or like how they used to use the big bells, like that
Okay,
kind of.
so this is something called auditory stimulation. And this is something that I'm putting into med beds because it does help. Now, people listen to frequencies on YouTube and things like that, and they're not always right. Some of those aren't even close to the same frequency. They're just throwing junk up.
In my mind, as a musician, I would also think that a digital frequency is not the same as a natural frequency that's actually being created around you.
Correct. You have one that's called a sinusoidal wave, and digital produces square wave.
Yep.
So there's a huge difference in it. Now think of the cochlea of the ear, the part that's curled up like a snail. What this does, this takes noise in and it filters out all of the noise in the noise, if that makes sense. So it filters out all the bad and it lets you get the pure, and you're able to hear it. Now that is more like a sinusoidal wave. It has a certain flow to it. And the sinusoidal wave, whenever it comes to auditory stimulation, is way better than digital. So the ringing of a bell, it does the same thing. So when you hear these frequencies, you may not know it, but okay, well, think of it like this. There's certain sounds that soothe you, and these are generally lower frequency. So what's going on is the sound's coming in, it's being emitted, it compresses, decompresses the air hits you, it rattles your eardrum, compression, decompression, and that's whenever that goes through the cochlea of the ear, filtering out all of the trash, and then it goes down to the base of your skull, and at the base of your skull, right there where your brain connects, that brain stem, that's whenever it sends it right to the area of the brain where it needs to work at. So like 40 hertz is a perfect gamma wave. If you listen to 40 hertz, that's going to send a signal to your prefrontal cortex, which is logic and decision part making of your brain. And that is going to stimulate 40 hertz gamma waves so you can have better focus. You can have better cognitive ability. You can just be at ease a little bit more.
So not to cut you off, but if you think that a good frequency can make you feel that way, I'm sure that a bad frequency can make people feel the other way.
100%. Yeah. The bad frequencies can make you pass out. But really quick on this, that processing, that's your brain and your body doing all the work, right? All the electrical synapses and all like the filtering out and the right part of the brain being stimulated. This is all burning calories. It's your body doing its own work. So what if you're stunted in that part of the brain and it doesn't have the ability to function? Well, if you use EMFs, like I was telling you, it travels through the body and it connects where it's resonating at, and that sends the electrical synapses that's already being provided for you. So it's kind of like you can drive a boat on water and get from point A to point B, or you can just turn off your motor and have the waves push you from point A to point B. One's going to be a little bit more of a struggle.
Yeah.
So the Rife machine is more like the boat with the waves pushing you. It's provided to you. That energy is there for you. So, but the tuning forks, The tuning forks are something that I have been studying on for a little while. I have a book I'm still reading through in my office daily. And so all the science shows that with tuning forks, it can help. So this is vibrational stimulation, right?
Mhm.
It's physical stimuli. And this can help reproduce stem cells within your body. It can make things wake up. It's kind of like just waking you up. If I shake you, you're going to wake up.
Uh-huh.
And this is what it's doing to your body up on a cellular level.
It's matching that
And
frequency
Dude, it's awesome.
that
Yeah.
Wow.
awakens them. That's crazy.
I mean, I've been around them and kind of messed around a little bit, and you can literally feel it almost passing through your entire body, especially like your chest and your heart area. It's
yeah,
pretty
and it's
cool.
really good for you. In fact, I'll post a copy of the book that I'm reading through, and you guys might enjoy it. I'll post it on X later.
Awesome.
Would love to read that.
I wanted to ask
Oh, I had
you.
a question.
Oh, go ahead,
Oh,
Rufus.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I had a question that kind of went along with like the turning things on and off in your brain, and I was wondering, like, what's your opinion on wireless earphones?
I think they're really bad for you because the way a speaker works, it's nothing but an electromagnet, and it has coiled wires, right? So it sends a frequency in pulsations per second through the wire, and then there's some kind of ferrous center in between that coiled wire, and whenever that electrical charge goes through it, it becomes an electromagnet. That's what pulls a speaker back and forth.
Hmm.
And that's the reason that, when it's off, it's just set in center and it can free float. But when it's on, it moves it. But these are also emitting EMFs. So if you're listening to really high frequency or like a mix of frequencies or something in a specific order, it can really mess with you. And not only that, but now there are headphones, earbuds that you can put in your ears, and they can read what you're thinking. And this was a big presentation at Davos that you put it in
Of
your ear.
course.
Yeah, and everybody was cheering for it.
Crazy.
But your brain produces an electromagnetic field. They've made the wire so small and the speakers so sensitive that the speakers then move. So it can pick up on your brainwave patterns to be able to feed back to the software, and it keeps a record of this. So if you and I are talking and we both are talking, thinking of the same thing or something around that same area, or a loud noise goes off, we're going to have similar brainwave patterns. So they're going to be able to pick up on conspiracy, or if people are attracted to one another, or if they're napping at work, or they're not staying focused at work, or what their productivity is.
Yeah, it's
And
scary.
it's all ridiculous.
It definitely works both ways because just from a rudimentary perspective, if you plug a microphone into a speaker outlet, you can hear out of it. It goes
Yeah.
both ways. So all that shit scares the crap out of me. I don't want to sound too crazy, but I don't trust none of it. None of it.
I mean, it's
Honestly,
it's the same thing as turning a drill with your hand. That will charge the battery
yeah.
because the electricity is what causes the electromagnetic magnet to move, and if you move the electromagnet, you're producing electricity that feeds back into it both ways.
Yeah, just like motors can produce energy if you run them yourself. But I wanted to ask you more about because you mentioned it before, structured water. That's something I've been trying to figure out how to do. And I know it's so good for you, and I don't know, and I know you know. I'm sure you know
Yes.
yeah, of course you do. So can you tell us a little
So
bit about that?
yeah, so our water is made up of H2O molecules. Now, whenever water is in the Earth's electromagnetic field influences these molecules. Think of it as magnetizing them, and then they structure themselves in a certain format.
Is that why
Okay.
like primary water is supposed to be so much better for you, the water that's deep down in the earth?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
closer to it, and it's becoming pretty much magnetized, and it's structured. It becomes more of a grid.
Yeah.
Now, whenever you pull it away from the earth and you stick it in a metal vat and you do reverse osmosis and shove it through a filter, it's going to mix up that entire grid that it's built. So, what do you need to do? You need to take it back to the frequency of the earth. And even better, you do it to the frequency of light, which is 528 hertz. And water water's a very temperamental little beast. Like it holds memory like this, and you can restructure it and bring it back to the calm and the good. Now, we're energetic beings. Like I said, light is resonant 528 hertz. Whenever you cure water with light, the UV rays, it's killing off all the dead and it structures it at the same time. Even though UV rays are ultraviolet, I get it. But you can still restructure that water to work with your body. The sun is very good for us. Light is good for us. If there was no light, there would be no life. And that's what's so evil about Bill Gates trying to block out the sun.
Yeah.
That's literally going to kill people and things. So if you get a Rife machine, you can just set the water next to it or on top of it, and it'll essentially magnetize that water to restructure it. And your body's able to accept this. The water is lighter, it tastes better, and it absorbs directly into your body. And structured water is the only thing that can hydrate mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cells.
Christmas list, Rife machine.
Right?
I've heard
For sure.
I've heard people talk about how when you drink structured water, like you don't even really feel it go down because it like immediately absorbs into your body. Like it's like your
Yeah.
cells are absorbing it. It's crazy.
Yeah, because it works up on a cellular level. Now, once you get all those molecules and you mix them all up and you compact them together, that's whenever water's heavy and it goes down to your gut and it sloshes around.
Mhm.
It's not getting absorbed into your body like it should. And speaking of the Rife machine, if you guys, up until the end of the year, I'm running a sale, Black 23, and it takes 25% off the entire cart.
Damn.
Awesome.
Okay.
Writing it
Yep.
down.
And that's something I have fought my hardest, man, just to keep my prices where they are. And I take a lot of pride in the fact that my qualities are built correctly and that we go through an extensive testing process to make sure everything's perfect. But with the inflation and everything that's been going on, it's been hard to be able to keep my prices where they are. I'm afraid next year that I'm going to have to raise my prices because we even see like everything's going up. And even my
Mhm.
wire, I have to have my wire specially made and I have to order it at $24,000 a shipment. And
Oh.
yeah, for half a ton of wire.
Ooh.
Jeez.
So
Yeah.
it's crazy. So I'm
All
afraid.
metals have gone up, so I'm sure that's going up too.
Yeah. So I try to pay my employees a good wage to where they don't have to go home or wait till Friday and be like, man, do I have enough money to pay my rent or bills? I don't want them to worry about that at work. So I try to pay them well. And I
Right.
try to do my products the best way possible. And then the inflation is just killing us. So I've cut back on a lot of things that I've needed, like just in my life, not like at work.
Yeah.
So I reinvest all my money back into work. Like right now, I'm renting a room off of my aunt because I want to pay my employees and keep my business going before I ever pay myself. I haven't taken a paycheck in like 6 months.
I'm sure people have approached you, and I'm sure, like, I'm just gonna say, Matt Rife didn't kill himself, cause dude, I'm sure at some point you're gonna be approached if you haven't already, and we've all heard the stories, and that's kind of like real quick. That's why this is so cool for me because when I got into the whatever you want to call it, the truther movement, like one of the first things, I mean, flat Earth was for me. We'll get into that later, but was like the hidden technologies about healthcare and how the Rockefellers turned it all into petroleum-based medicine, and they basically paid for all the textbooks, paid for everything to take over it. And your great uncle was one of the first things that I dove into myself and was like, all right, if this is true, I'm going to keep going on this. And because, if you, I'm sure, I hate to even talk about it, but if you Wikipedia him, it's basically like he was a fraud. He claimed
Quack,
this, claimed that. I mean, it does tell the great stuff he did, which I didn't even know until I looked to check that he helped create some sort of time-lapse microscope thing or some shit. Like, I don't know the details of it, but like stuff that's still used today. But then they try to discredit him on the cancer part and the multiple other things part. But
yeah, it's called time-lapse microscopy.
That was it. Yeah.
And so it's nothing but, I mean, it's a lot simpler than what it sounds. but he did invent in microscopes number 1 through 5. He's the one who had the patent up on the lamp that goes below the tray on a microscope.
Wow.
He's done a lot of great
Wow.
things.
I use that in school,
But-
man.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, he's a quack and pseudoscientist, and he doesn't know what he's doing though, But still, keep on using his microscopes because he was the first person to ever see a live virus with the naked eye. But he's a quack.
Whenever I see stuff like that, and that's exactly what I think is okay. If they're calling him a quack, what did he do that they don't want us to know about? And not just with him, like with anybody. Like they always paint them in that picture. And then you got the freaks like Einstein who are clearly a weirdo and they paint in this great light. So it's once you're awake, it's kind of easy to see the way they do that crap. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's
That's
picking and
crazy.
choosing. It's picking and choosing for their own benefit. That's what the entire deadly beast of an economical system, everything is who can benefit.
Right. What would you think if makes you, if you were an enemy of these people? What is it about what you
I don't really give a shit.
do?
Hell yeah.
The biggest thing is I have a lot of research, and I have things on I say 16 servers, but there's only a few active servers. The rest of it I have loaded on hard drives, which I've removed the security key off of, and I put the security key onto a thumb drive, and this has been through a period of years.
Wow.
And I have some of them that are just wrapped up in cellophane and Vaseline that are sunk, to the bottom of a pool of water. And I will give that thumb drive to people with where it's at. If I ever die, get it.
Yeah,
But-
that's the thing, man. You gotta do things to be able to continue on your work if anything did happen. But I'll tell you what, man, we really need people like you, and I really, hats off to everything that you're doing. Because if you end up getting bought off, or whoever develops this technology to its fullest potential, you know exactly where it's going like usual. And like you said, they're already testing it in hospitals, and they're just blasting it out of the water. And that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to take the potential of this and just run it into the ground, where it's doing as much damage to your body probably as it is doing to heal you as well.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. So here's the thing. If I don't check into my servers every week, everything I've ever known gets emailed to everybody I've ever emailed in my life. And mind you, I do a lot of research on anti-gravity and different types of things of that nature right now. And so if I die and all my research goes to everybody and everyone sees the truth, then everyone dies. And I don't think a narcissist would be willing to do that. So, but buying me out, dude, I can't even, like, if somebody approached me right now and they was like, listen, we want your company and you need to shut up. Here's $50 million, or we can just make your life a living hell. I really don't know what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Right.
that's just, and it's just being completely honest.
Oh,
I just
for
don't
sure,
know.
dude. I mean, there's a reason why they've done this time and time again, and it's worked. I mean, right down to cars running on water. I mean, it's out there, but it's never gonna be.
There's a patent on a car that runs off of water.
Yeah.
Okay, so a patent works like you have to be able to prove whatever you're saying it does to the patent office, and then that's how they give you the patent for that design. There's been one from 1968. The guy built a hydrogen-powered car. It shows the entire electrolysis system breakdown, everything on it, and then they have the patent on it. And some other company bought the patent, bought the rights to the patent. They left it in his name, but they shelved it.
Shelved it. Yep.
But, other people that are like, I'm going to give this to humanity. I'm not stupid. I know that I can't just give stuff away. Like, even if I had $1 million, say I had $20 billion, I couldn't give somebody $1 million. They would put me in jail. That's illegal to do.
Yep.
So whenever it comes to products, they're going to treat that the same thing as financial assets. So if I'm not making money and I don't pay my taxes, then they would come after me. But if I make money and I further research and I'm totally aware that at some point I'm going to have to let politicians stick their hand in the honeypot to get some of that money, and I'm totally fine with that, just as long as it's still protected. So I'm cool with all that. I just understand how it works. I don't get mad at a bird that comes down and plucks the eyeball out of a dog, because that's what a bird does.
Right.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
These I had a question. You were talking earlier about 40 hertz. And you said it's related to like cognitive abilities and
Yes.
stuff like that. Do you think that, especially music and stuff today, that a lot of the low filter cutoffs and everything, we don't even get 40 hertz. We don't even really barely ever get anything above 60, right?
Above 20. You can get down to 20 on most speakers, and this is going to be like a bass speaker.
Right, yeah, but typically all that's filtered out, like by, say, the the Bluetooth headphones and all that. Like you're not getting that frequency, or at least you can't hear it, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that may have something to do with a little bit of a control on a population kind of level, or is that a little too?
You think that has to do with why music
conspiratorial?
sucks so fucking bad today?
Well, that and making everybody lethargic freaking zombies, right? Like I don't know.
I do have some clinical trials that are posted on my website
Okay.
about the different hertz tuning of music.
Okay.
And there's specific hertz that they've tuned away from. Was it 425, 28? What was it they used to tune in?
428.
428. 4.
Yeah, 428. So they used to tune in this. While the clinical trials, like one story is they took 6 people who were severely scared of a dentist. And then they would play music tuned at 428, and their anxiety levels went down. They were more calm. They were able to sit through the dentist, and they said it wasn't a bad experience at all. And these have been shown, like these are peer-to-peer clinical trials and peer-to-peer reviewed, and they're on the National Institute of Health.gov website. In fact, I have a bunch of stuff on EMF therapy that's on my website. So I don't make any claims that are untrue.
Mhm.
I use their own science and data against them to say what I'm saying is factually true. You guys have recognized it. You put it on your government websites as fact.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Makes sense.
But
sense.
I think the dismissal of like 40 hertz is a perfect gamma wave, right?
Mhm.
And this is the perfect one for like dementia. I'm in clinical trials right now, and I'm doing visual and EMF stimulation. So I'm flashing lights at 40 hertz because your eyes are nothing but your brain squished out of the front of your head. And so stimulate that part of the brain, right? And also do it through EMS to stimulate exactly the prefrontal cortex. You're working EMS that's providing the power, and you're working with your body's own power to be able to induce that 40 hertz and get that muscle working again. Well, I think it'll get rid of dementia. I think it'll get rid of Alzheimer's. I think it'll help ischemic stroke victims. I think that it'll get rid of schizophrenia, and it's going to overall help cognitive functioning, because that part of your brain, like when people do drugs, when they say like start at 16 years old, somebody just starts doing opiates and things and coke and all this other stuff, that stunts the prefrontal cortex. That stops that 40 hertz from being able to do anything. That's the reason people, whenever they start doing drugs, that's where they stay at mentally and make decisions as that age until they stop.
It's so hard for me to picture when you say light at 40 hertz, because I'm an audio guy, right? So it's hard for me to, picture it on a light spectrum.
Yeah, visual
Can you
spectrum.
elaborate?
Okay.
Yeah, visual spectrum. Can you elaborate a little more on that, like how these
Yeah.
work?
Yeah, so I'll break down what a hertz means.
Okay.
If I say 3 hertz, that means 3 pulses per second.
Okay.
That's it. It's how many pulses per second. So 400 hertz, it would be 400 pulsations per second. So
right. So
400
it's basically the
flashing
same
lights.
as audio, except in a visual form, right? Like a strobe,
Exactly.
right? Okay.
Yep.
So, okay.
And
All
so,
right,
what do you have to say about like LED lights that they're converting everyone over to?
LEDs are terrible for your body.
Of course.
So the way an LED works is it's a positively charged electron. Well, it's an electron that flows down the line, and whenever it hits that diode, it creates a flash of light. Now, have you ever seen somebody recording a screen and then like the shutter frame rate is 60 hertz, and then the LED screen is flashing all over the place.
Yeah.
That's a disruption. I think they call it what, video throw up or something. And this is what's going on with your eyes on that stimulation too, because you see at 60 hertz. So your body's still processing that flashing, even though you don't recognize it, because your brain is filling in the gaps.
Yeah, you can feel it, man. And what kind of side effects do you think will come from being around those all the time?
I think it probably cause a lot of fucking craziness, to be honest with you. Probably blue-haired people start walking around trying to get their kids transgendered.
I mean, that's not happening right now.
Do you hear that, folks? Make sure that you change to what is it, incandescent bulbs in all
If
your
you
house
can.
while you still
I mean, they've been
can,
trying to-
and
yeah,
stock up.
Trump
because-
hates them. Trump thinks incandescent bulbs are horrible. Do not use them if you like Trump. There you go. They'll all switch to him now. We're good.
We're just trying to save you guys.
Look at this. Ted Logan straightened out humanity's psychological issues.
That's how we do it. So I wanted to
I was
ask
thinking
you-
about making one.
Really?
I was
Making
yeah,
your
I was
own
thinking
bulb?
about producing an incandescent bulb with a larger filament that it will never burn out.
You mean that's been done back then?
Yeah, so
supposedly,
there's
right?
this
Yeah.
there's this I used to geek out and watch History Channel. Now I'm like, what the fuck was I doing? That's all lies. But there's a few things on there that are cool, and there's this like one of the original Edison bulbs is still in a light fire station like in Cleveland that's been there for like 110 years, and the filament is still good. And then I dug into it more, and I found out like GE and whoever were like, hey, we can't sell these. People aren't going to ever buy light bulbs
money.
again. We need to make them burn out. And now we have what we have today.
Yeah, so it was a struggle back in the day on light bulb manufacturers. So they all come together, and they all had different thread pitches and designs to be able to connect the bulb into the fixture. So they had some big secret meeting, and that's whenever they come up with a standard thread, and that's whenever they come up with, let's make them work for just this many hours, and that's the cutoff. We're all even. It boils down to whoever wants your product, and we obviously can't reach everybody.
Yeah.
Well, fuckers, I can. I have the internet now.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah, that light bulb has been burning for over 100 years. It's never turned off, and
Yeah.
it's still burning. So filament isn't that expensive, and I'm sure I can get some kind of glass bulb. I can probably order out to China and get this made.
I'm
I
sure.
don't care. If you don't ever need a light bulb, good. I never want to sell you another one.
I know.
Right?
Exactly. I will
Dude,
say,
I'd replace all the bulbs in my house if you do it. Just if you do create these, could I order some from you before
Yeah,
you put them
before
on the
they-
market?
before you run out.
Yeah, 100%.
All of-
I'll come to you guys first.
Awesome.
Awesome.
All a filament is like a thinner piece of wire fed by thicker pieces of wire. Like, I'm breaking it down to its basic nothingness, but the smaller one heats up and glows because it's fed by more amps and more juice. It's the same way a heater works in an air conditioner. It's the same way a hairdryer works. It's the same way all electrical heaters work. They have more amps and more electricity feeding a smaller wire, so it heats up and glows. So
Yeah, it creates that resistance.
Yeah.
And they're normally made out of tungsten because of its high melting temperature.
So I'm sure you can come up with something that would never burn out. If they did it 100 years ago, you can do it now, I'm sure.
Yes, I mean, fuck LEDs. They're nothing but diodes. And you can honestly take LEDs, line them across the big piece of plywood,
And
lay it
shove
out
them
in
up
your
your
yard,
ass.
and
No, I'm kidding.
well, it's a solar panel.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Oh,
Damn
shit.
it. My joke's ruined
yeah.
now.
Go.
Yeah, I know. Like, took a shot at it, and he's like, "No, it's actually badass. That's what it is." Like,
I mean, I'm all for people shoving plywood up their ass.
Yeah.
though.
To be honest, I'm all for it. But-
So wait, I'm
Yeah.
confused. So what makes it a solar panel?
So it's a diode. That's all an LED is. It stands for light emitting diode.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a diode that's on a circuit board, electrons only flow one way. Well, whenever you're providing the energy to that, it's picking up these electrons, and it's only going to flow one way. So you can charge a battery off of, I mean, it's not going to be as efficient as
Yeah.
a solar panel that's made industrial, but it's essentially the same damn thing.
Dude,
So-
Ted posted a video not too long ago of some guy that made solar panels using old CDs and copper wire.
Oh,
It was
shit.
really sweet.
Is that like a possible thing, or is that probably a hoax?
I don't know, because they used to make them out of steel and lead. So if you take a piece of steel and then you plate it with lead, stick it out in the sun, that heat that's generated and this electron flow from the lead into the steel is a solar panel. You can charge a battery off of it. It's not very efficient, but
Yeah.
you can.
I mean, he told you specifically, like, you need to wrap this gauge copper wire this many times, use this many CDs, and like, it looked convincing.
It looked
I
pretty
can't-
legit
yeah.
to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be coils. You can essentially do the same thing with and I think all of you guys saw my drone video where I took a drone up in the air with a coiled wire on it. Well, this is picking up positively charged electrons out of the air and it's sending them down to earth ground.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
So I was gonna say I actually wanted to bring up, which they're kind of one and the same, but like free energy / and or electroculture. So it's all about gathering energy out of the whatever the hell you want to call it, the ether, the ionosphere, whatever you want to call it. And I know there's a higher charge as it goes up. So what are your takes on those two things?
So this is something I'm going to be doing in the future on X and my other platforms, because I'm tired of everybody not knowing where food comes from. Like, oh, we'll just go to the grocery store and get more. Like, they don't know it grows out of the ground. So I want to teach people this shit, because people are becoming way too fucking dependent upon other people.
Mhm.
And whenever that happens, that's whenever they lose control. So just like a prisoner is dependent upon a guard to bring him his food, that's how people in the United States are doing. They're dependent upon the grocery store. So I've developed a few different things, and one of them is a greenhouse that needs no electrical supply provided to it, but it will perpetually rain at all times, and it keeps the humidity and heat at the perfect temperature. Another is a greenhouse. Well, not a greenhouse. It's a grow setup, and this is nothing but pipes, and then you get a Rife machine and ionize your water. So it's going to be a hydroponic system that people in apartments can use it.
Oh shit.
And then another, and this is the electroculture. It's like next level electroculture, because I've been able to take grounding rods and formulate out the exact tuning of these antennas to get the exact amount of length and just the mass and everything that I need to be able to capture like all these 900 megahertz and above radio waves that are going through the air, that are attacking the plants, that are messing up the water. And this will capture those out of the air and it'll send it into earth ground. Not only that, but I'm going to have a solar panel on it, and I'm going to be hook up capacitors and regulators, and to be able to have a coil at the bottom of it to where it will send out electromagnetic fields that are healthy for the plant versus this bullshit that everybody else is imposing upon us.
Mm-hmm.
And your fruits and vegetables will then grow at the rate that they did in the 1910s, whenever they had 5 or 6 times more nutrients in them. And not only that, but it's going to provide even more energy with the solar panel to where they'll grow larger, they'll grow stronger, your vegetables will be healthier, and you're going to have a hell of a lot more yield out of them. So I'm going to be teaching people how to do this. I'm not going to try to sell the products. I will sell the plans and be like, oh, $10, you can download this, learn how to do it. And it's up to you to put it together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this will encourage people to do this. Like everything, even the greenhouse. You know, I wanted people to know how to do these things, on how to self-regulate the heat within their greenhouse and have 4 more weeks on the beginning and end of summer to be able to grow food. And, you know, just encourage them to do this shit and see how easy it is, the money savings, and become less fucking dependent upon this system.
That's crazy, man. I'm glad you brought that up, because I mean, all it would really take is something to shut down the truckers for even a week, if you think about it, and there's going to be no food in the grocery stores.
Yeah. So, and you know, this has already all been planned out, supposedly, from what I hear online through the WEF. Oh, a huge cyber attack that's going to shut down the entire electrical system. Dude, I mean, what if that's the way they bring in CBDC? They're like, oh, our financial institutions are all gone. Good
Yep.
thing that J.P. Morgan failed and we federalized it because now
hmm
you have central bank digital currency.
It's so easy for you now. Look at this.
How would people fall for that, man? I mean,
They
oh,
do.
all the electricity just got shut off. So
How
let's
would
make all of
people
our money digital.
How people took the vaccine for a donut, my dude. I'm just saying.
Right?
I'm just saying.
It's a good donut. I mean,
All these fries are so good.
yeah.
Dude, that dude was such an oh, these fries and this cheeseburger.
I
I hate
Come
that
get your
fucking
vaccine.
video, man.
He was like
I
all
hate that
sweaty
fucking
and
video.
shit. Oh god.
Man,
it's
all of
so
them are
gross.
douchebags. They just want money and they don't care if they die or not. They're not looking at humanity at all. They're just like, how
Yeah.
much can I grow my bank account and be crippled with cancer before I can get out on my new yacht?
Yeah.
It's true.
On that level, yeah, they're just fucking idiots. On the higher level, I don't even think they need money anymore because they have so much money. They don't need money. They don't need power. In my mind, they want our souls. That's what they're after. I know that sounds crazy, but I mean, shit, man. What else can they want? They
I was
have
gonna say, what else
everything.
is there after that? They have everything else. It's like just the control is the real drug. It's the real monetary system. At that
Yeah.
level.
Yeah, it really is. And I can understand how power corrupts people because even in my business, I like for things to be a certain way. And, I pay my employees to do it this way, but I also let them make their own decisions. So I know if I fell into that trap of going in, just be like, no, do it my way, that it would just end up becoming normalized to me. So I fight my urges to do that. Like I'm always cognizant to say, okay, tell me your ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good.
every great business, you've got to empower your employees and have them, empower their creative prowess, and that's
Yeah.
the way you're going to grow.
That's why I allow you guys to think your opinion matters. I want you to feel like
Way to keep the peace, Ted.
I'm just
Thanks,
kidding.
Ted.
I'm just
Hey,
kidding.
he's being vulnerable right now. Telling you guys
I
this.
know.
It's
Opening
true.
up.
He is putting
As much
himself
as
out
it
there.
pains him, you got to let us
So
get our 2 cents in every once in a while.
one thing I wanted to ask you about that I heard, I guess it's kind of, I mean, it's not about your business, but I heard you talking about the pyramids in Egypt a little bit, and it fucking blew my mind. I listened to it before, and then, as in like in prep for today, I listened to a podcast you were on again, and I was like, oh man, I want to hear more about this because the shit you said on the pyramids and the gold and the Gauss rating and all that, I know you know what I'm talking about. My mind was
Yep.
like, bam. So can you go over that a little bit?
Yeah. So this is what I call the pyramid power station theory. It's advanced resonance and it has health implications as well. So gold has been revered by ancient Egyptians all throughout their history, and they used it as a primary conductor. Like it exhibited like superconductor properties even at very low temperatures, and there was very minimal energy loss during transmission. So golden capstones and edges, they served as like efficient collectors and they would channel electrical energy into the pyramid's interior. So, and Egyptians found like they had a profound grasp of like geometry and mathematics, and it helped them with their constructions. The pyramid shapes and dimensions were carefully chosen to resonate with specific electromagnetic frequencies. We see all these different chambers that are in there, like the king's chamber resonates at around 16.2 hertz, the queen's chamber 22.4, the subterranean chambers 7.8. These are like Schumann resonances, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 16.2, people use this to induce relaxation, reduce stress, enhance sleep quality. 22.4, this is more cognitive function, concentration, and mental alertness because this is a low level gamma wave in the brain. And this, even the 7.8, it's linked to like natural grounding, which we were talking about, and more balance in your body, promoting overall well being. So I think what was happening is this gold was collecting all of the positively charged electrical ions in the air, and it's sending it down through the gold. And to touch on the Gauss rating, everything can react to a magnetism. So magnets are measured in a rate of Gauss. And gold, let's just say it reacts at like 80 Gauss. Well, under soil, it cuts exactly in half.
And it's the
So,
only
and
metal that does that, right?
this is the only compound known to man
Yeah.
that has this quality.
Huh.
So I think what they were doing is getting this electrical energy to flow down to disperse, and it would hit the soil, and that change in the Gauss rating also changes the electrical continuity of it. And so it would just spread that electrical out over across that shiny limestone, and then it would absorb into the pyramid in these different chambers, being divided upon their own natural selected frequency. And I think this is how we work and we stay healthy as people because we have these frequencies all around us. They're naturally there. We collect them as we walk around, walk through the woods, go to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been different claims of people going into pyramids, like this great pyramid in Giza. A guy snuck people in that had cancer, that had like just multiple different problems, and they come out healed. So, like King's Chamber, that could just be something for healing. This could have been electrical energy that they used and also used for their health. This could have stimulated them to the point to where this is how they had so much technology that we've forgotten about. And they fucking wrote in pictures. I mean, we write in emojis, way more fucking retarded.
Yeah. So
Do
how
you-
do you feel? Oh, go ahead, Bill.
I just had a quick. Do you have a theory on how they knew this? If this is in fact what they were doing?
I don't know. There's just so much about Egyptian history and even Mayan history, how they've worked out all these mathematical equations and where they come from, where did they go? I don't know. Like I'm not a historian, but I do
Yeah,
know
no, I just
electrical.
figured I'd ask because I mean it's so intriguing, right?
Yeah.
And there's just this like elephant in the room, like how did they know? And then you could get your ancient alien theory and all that,
I don't.
Yeah, it bothers me to this day. Like I think about it all the time. I'm like, where did they go? How did they know this all the time?
Right.
So, like even pyramid shapes, it can draw water out of the ground with electrical energy. So there used to be rivers all over Egypt, right? There's a theory, oh, they floated those stones on a boat. Well, dude, they found bodies of water up underneath the pyramids. You're not allowed to dig around them at all. They're so fucking protected that there is something there.
Yeah, I agree.
There's definitely something.
Yeah,
on there.
yeah, I've heard a lot about like the pyramids being some sort of ram pump, and
Yeah.
maybe even tapping out of like a primary water source or something like that. And do you think that has something to do with the whole electrical system in the pyramid too, and generating electricity?
I don't think it's a ram pump. I think with that electrical energy that's in there, because the ram pump is more compression than shootout. I think it's 7-to-1. Every 7 feet that you drop, you can pump uphill 1 foot on a ram pump. But it's the shape of the pyramid. So if you think of like a transformer, right? This coiled wire, or like a Tesla coil, the further up it has to climb, the more it's mixing and modulating that electrical signal, and it's kind of like stretching it out. It's breaking it down, right? You can have really, really high voltage because voltage just means pressure. Like how many electrons are in there trying to find their place, and then it just shoots right out. So it's building pressure. So I think with an electrical system of the pyramids, and as it climbs up, then it's going to shoot electrical out of the tip of it at some point. So it's a connection between upper atmosphere or our atmosphere and Earth. So water's above, so is water's below. Water sticks together. Water sticks to its own. Now, if you can connect the atmosphere to the Earth, it will connect these waters. We have clouds in our sky. I don't care what anybody thinks about firmament with water outside of it. We literally have water in our atmosphere, and our atmosphere is all electrical. Lightning is nothing but plasma activity.
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, there's definitely water in the atmosphere. You can see the rockets skidding off of it a little bit.
Rufus.
Speaking of, also, since we're on the pyramids, I heard you talking about earlier about some of your work on like anti-gravitation, or I guess you would say anti-density and
I
buoyancy,
wanted
as
to
us
ask you
level
about
heads
that
would
too.
say.
Yeah.
So I was
Mhm.
wondering, do you think that had anything to do with how the pyramids were created, or
Yeah,
what were your theory on that?
so I know that you cannot crush electricity. It's like water. Like air is condensable, water's really not. And neither is electricity. So in theory, I could take electrical wire and run a very high frequency electrical current through it, and I could entrap low frequency electrical current inside of that, and I could carry anything I wanted. Because just like water, it's not condensable like that. I mean, voltage is a pressure regulation, or it's a measurement.
Crazy.
So along those
Like I
lines,
think,
go ahead. Sorry.
I think the anti gravity, and this is my findings on it, that gravity, you're right, it's not what we're told. But instead of density, which I think has a major role to play in it, I firmly believe that gravitational waves are actually electrical waves. It's magnetism. It's
Mm-hmm.
energy.
I
And
believe
then the
that too.
density just kind of decides the different levels of where things naturally stand.
Yes, and I think that's how they were able to separate out inside the pyramids with different electrical frequencies because of density. And we see all these chambers and all these subterranean things that they're stacked on top of each other. So even the 8 hertz, that's in the subterranean levels of the pyramid.
So do you think that? I mean, this is just a hypothetical. Speaking of hertz and electricity, and I want to get back to the other thing with gravity and electrostatics and all that, but with different hertz, do you think it's possible to contain one type of electricity within another type?
Yes. I think that if you control a denser electrical field around like a less dense electrical field, that you can contain it 100% and you can float every one of these 20-ton stones on top of it.
That's exactly what I was asking. That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Wouldn't that be crazy if they were just using that for construction purposes these days?
Dude, it's crazy shit. Like, I've been to the Coral Castle many times. Have you ever been there? You know what it is, the Coral Castle, Matt?
Mm-mm.
I
No.
want to go so bad.
It's in like, now they moved it to like Hialeah, which I don't even know how they moved it or whatever. But it's this dude. So long story short, it was this little. He was like 4 foot nothing, literally tiny Polish or something, dude. And he was in love with this princess, and he wanted to build her a castle for her to win her over. And he built it out of coral, but he did it by himself. And he would have these trucks bring in pieces of coral, and he would pay them extra to leave the truck and come back the next day. They'd say he had no heavy equipment, he had nothing. They would show up with these, multiple ton pieces of coral, and they'd show up the morning to pick up the truck, and it was gone. No fucking nothing, just him, and it would be set up in a certain way. So I've been there myself, and there's this piece of coral that's the main door that's like on a pivot that it's multiple tons, and you can take your pinky and push it because it's like on this perfect balance point where it just rotates around. And there's like, in the bed he made for her, there's like this pinhole in the ceiling, but if you lay down, you can see all the stars from it, and a fountain that runs uphill with no fucking pump at all. It was like, this dude knew some shit that we don't know for sure. It's like this amazing technology he had somehow, that he cut and moved this coral all by himself in the middle of the night with no one hearing or seeing anything. It's crazy.
Dude, that's some Egyptian shit.
Yeah,
I was gonna
that's
say, yeah,
exactly
he
it.
must have
It's like,
stumbled onto something. Do you
Exactly what I thought when I heard it.
Yeah,
Where's
that's some
this at?
real Egyptian shit.
It's in
Because
Miami.
yeah.
even in the pyramids, they said that in the tomb of the king that they would mummify, that there was a single pinhole that went directly to their star. And they had this done all throughout the pyramid to where it would send his soul through that. I don't think that's what it was
That's
at all.
crazy. No, they always like to tell some fucking stories about some shit. Like, I even watched. I don't even remember what it's called, but I was like, I'm fucking paying for Netflix. I'm gonna watch something on it. And I saw this show that's about like ancient civilizations, and it's this dude like he goes right to the edge of talking about giants and Nephilim, but he doesn't fucking bring it up. He's like, most people or ancient cultures will tell you it's Nephilim, but we know that's not true. And then basically goes
Giant wink.
basically goes in to explain how that's the only way it could be possible, but clearly that's not true, so we have to have another answer. But it's like all these cultures all across the world building things that I mean, they claim are 20-something thousand years old that we can't do now. It's just like there's clearly a huge piece we're missing, and people like to pretend like, no, Christopher Columbus discovered America. Okay.
Oh, come on, Ted. You know they were just bored back then. They didn't have any cell phones or iPads or anything to distract them.
Yeah, that's something that gets me too. Like the Christopher Columbus thing. Okay, they brought over Welsh people. And Welsh is a completely different language from English. But the only people that could speak to the Native Americans were the Welsh, and their languages were so freaking similar that they were able to communicate. So how did Christopher Columbus do this before? Whenever there's a 0% chance that people that totally isolated from one another come up with the same fucking language.
And how did he know to bring him if he hadn't discovered it yet?
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's
wait a second. I thought Christopher Columbus discovered America.
I mean,
there were people here.
There were people here. He was being sarcastic.
They were my ancestors.
I didn't want to tackle that and tell you, but
like, I need you to sit down for a second.
I was just going to let you guys do it. I didn't know you was joking.
yeah, you totally.
Okay.
I'll let you.
Yeah, we're a little sarcastic from time to time.
Dude, there's some people, like I told you, some people don't even know that food grows out of the ground.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad. Like, I think that I may have talked about this before, and I don't give a fuck if you heard it. Shut up. So, that, like, they did a study that, like, 60% of people don't have an internal monologue. Like, that's frightening to me. It's literally scary to me that 60% of people don't think in their head. That they don't have not a conversation, I guess, but you know what I mean? Like, they don't think about any fucking thing they do. They just do it. Like, oh, this is what I'm doing.
I don't know how that works.
I don't
Right.
either.
You know what? They probably have to go home and plug themselves in when they go to bed at night too. So I don't know.
I mean, that's literally brain damage. That internal voice that comes from the anterior frontal campus.
Yeah,
And
so there's something wrong if it ain't working.
yeah,
It's blocked, right? I mean, essentially. Which is
I mean,
everything you've been talking about.
Possibly
it's
with
just
fluoride.
not working.
Or it's just not working.
Dude, tell us some more about how our brains work and how those kind of areas of our brain can get blocked off.
I mean, there's multiple different things, kind of like the hippocampus, right? And, this helps with your dream state and imagination. I mean, there's just multiple different sections of the brain that do their own function. It's wild. So when people talk about the pineal gland, this is literally a part of the brain, and a lot of people will dismiss it. But if that's not working, you're missing out on some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense.
Yeah, they can do tests and see like different areas of your brain lighting up, depending on your political preferences or your skepticism of government. They've done tests on that. And I even saw a video the other day where they're like trying to work on some sort of vaccine where they can block off those thoughts from people. It's a little scary.
Dude, they want us all to lose our internal monologue. I don't know what I would do. If I can't hear my own voice in my head, I'm going to be walking into walls.
Yeah. Not only that, it's going to be bad for people around me, because if I can't use my filter, People are in trouble. It's just coming right out.
Just all your thoughts are just coming out left and
Dude,
right.
that's the thing.
You just
People
gotta externalize everything.
People think this is that. This is not that. This is me thinking I have a family that I need to think about. So imagine me not thinking about that. We'd be in fucking trouble, man. That's all I'm saying.
Sociopathic, you know. I mean, gosh, look at what is exactly Neuralink has got to be tapping into this, right? I mean, this is perfect for the people that can't think for themselves.
Dude, Neuralink's scary, and they sell it off as it's gonna help people with dementia and Alzheimer's. Like, yeah, it might do that, but it's gonna go way beyond that. It's gonna get to where.
Do you think that's even possible, Matt?
The dementia and Alzheimer's, or using
Through
Neuralink?
like Neuralink curing that,
So-
helping it?
Okay, so dementia and Alzheimer's. Dementia comes from what's called beta amyloids in the brain. Now, these amyloids, they're folded proteins, and what they do is they clog up the inner workings. They stop the electrical synapses through the neurological system of the brain. This is your prefrontal cortex, because that's logic and decision making, right? So yeah, if they put Neuralink in there and it clears up, it provides a neural pathway for these electrical synapses, then yeah, I think it would cure it.
But just as a plug for you, it sounds like, there's potential for frequencies to do the same thing. So maybe people might want a second thought before
yeah,
they decide to,
Right, instead of
hook
becoming
the computer up to their
right,
brain.
instead of becoming a
There's
robot.
more than
for
one
sure.
way to skin a raccoon. You know what I'm saying? You can take care
Yeah,
of it
I
in
would-
a couple ways.
I would rather have people have their natural brain working. I mean, it's nothing but the beta amyloids that need to be flushed out. And if you can blow right through those, or there's something that's called neurolinguistic programming,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's where new neural pathways are built in your brain. You can build around them if you have the energy to do so. And the only thing I do is it's like a clogged toilet or something. You blow right through it and it's going to flow.
Well, for me, it sounds like, the biggest potential for Neuralink is like helping people, maybe like blind people be able to see, or deaf to hear, and also like paraplegics being able to move again. Is that something that could potentially be helped with the frequencies as well?
Well, yeah, look at neuropathy. Neuropathy is like if you have neuropathy of the legs, you have no feeling in your legs,
Mhm.
but your legs still work because your body can still control the muscle. It just doesn't know what it's doing. And that's the reason that, legs will then, store water and all these other things that are going on, and they'll swell up and they have pain because there's no communication there. So if you provide a link to be able to communicate, then yeah, it would get rid of the neuropathy, and people with like severed nerves that just communicate to be able to work the muscles, then yeah, I totally think it would. But I also think there's other ways to do it. Some people may need like that little jumper cable from the brain to their feet, but
Yeah,
I
so
don't think that everybody does.
so it's something as simple as just stimulating the electricity in that part of the body that'll get it to start firing correctly again.
Well, okay, so let's take Parkinson's. Parkinson's disease is caused from hyper and hypo beta waves. Now, the beta waves control the function of muscle. So hypo is whenever you're moving your muscle very slowly. Hyper is whenever you have quick reflexes. So people with Parkinson's have too much hypo and hyper. That's the reason they shake, because they can't control the beta waves. But I've had customers that have Parkinson's, and they'll start running for Parkinson's, and it opens up, and then your body's like, hey, this is a function I can do, and this is what I'm doing now. And it kind of like exercising you, right? Like muscle memories in a sense, but it's more electrical system memory with the muscle being the brain. Then yeah, their shaking stops.
It's
Wow.
amazing.
That's awesome.
That is awesome, man.
So when these machines are on, do you can you feel anything? Do you notice them? Do they what do they
You
do?
can.
Yeah.
How can you tell they're working?
So it's really hard to tell if they're working or not. Hang on, there's a kid behind me. Sorry, he's just out there yelling. It's I send, like, it's a little silver ball inside of a plastic case. You can't blow on the ball and make it move or anything, and you set it on top of the lid. And when you run 30 hertz, that ball should move. That's what tells people, hey, it's hooked up correctly and it's going to work, because you're not going to hear a sound.
Yeah.
Now, on the Royal units, our biggest unit, a lot of men, they'll feel heat in their chest and in their shoulders. And women feel it like, upper or lower back. So you can kind of feel that, but you'll feel like a sense of calm. It's something you got to get used to and pick up on. But a lot of people don't even know it's on. You just sit near it. You don't have to put it on you. You don't have to use anodes and cathodes like these falsified Rife machines that are just running microcurrent through your body.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that. These are EMFs that can go through your body. But you notice a huge difference, especially the first night whenever you go to sleep, because your body becomes so much more relaxed that your melatonin levels in your brain adjust naturally to their natural state. So you sleep like a baby.
Dude, I can't wait to try these.
Yeah.
Could you give us a rundown of like the different levels of your machines and what they can potentially achieve for you?
Yeah, so I have 4 different levels. We've named them copper, silver, gold, and royal. And this is just, I don't know. But the royal has to be the one at the top. It's an ode to Royal Rife.
Yeah.
And the other ones are like placed in value, right? So the copper is more like a travel unit. And I refer to it a lot as a travel unit. And it's nothing but a 3.25 inch diameter coil. And it's wound specifically in a certain pattern to be able to emit the EMFs in the most efficient way. But you can carry it around with you. I carry them in my pocket all the time. It comes with a rechargeable, small, like portable transmitter, and then you just plug the coil into it and you let it run. You control it with your phone, and that's what sends the signal for the hertz to be able to go through the transmitter. The transmitter ups the power and changes it into microcurrent, and it flows throughout the wire. And so that one's $420. Silver, it's more like a desktop unit. You get 2 of those coil. It comes with the more powerful transmitter. Like the portable unit is 5 watts. Yeah, it's 5 watts. And then the silver is like 200. So this is more like a desktop unit. Just like sound waves, the further EMFs travel, the weaker they get. So you just set this on your desk and you can sit there and work around it all day. The reason you get 2 coils, there's something that's called Faraday rotation. That whenever 2 EMF fields pass one another, it creates a third electromagnetic field that's a third the size and a third the power. So you're essentially getting 3. Same thing that Roy had in his final version of his Rife machine. He had 2 different plasma cells on it because of this Faraday rotation, and he was able to regulate things better. The reason I changed from plasma cell to wire is because we have software now. Yeah. We don't have to use all hardware and tune it in every single time.
Right.
So that one's $776. I was going to price it higher in the beginning because of work hours and everything, but $1776 is an awesome number, and I just said $776.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's also the reason I priced it at $420 instead of $550. I was like, I'm willing to take the loss.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious. And we have our gold unit, and these come on a base, and these bases set up, they're a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, and these have way more windings than the others. They can take higher power input. They put out stronger EMFs. And this is something that I'm going to market towards truckers, because truckers are on the road all the time. These are small coils. I think they're 3.5 inches in diameter. No, they're like 4.5. But they can just set them up in their cab, and at night they can run it, or they can run it while driving down the road. And it helps them out because they don't get a lot of exercise sitting in a truck all the time. They need that stimulation. And lower back pain.
Dude, I think it would be really good for pilots too, because I hear that airplanes block out the Schumann resonance too through like the pressurization of the cabins.
I don't know if they'd be able to use them like legally, because
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, all of their systems, they run off of electrical systems, and the reason you weren't allowed to use a cell phone back in the day is because of that radio wave that it puts out. So what happens within wire if you have EMFs around it, it'll pick up on that electrical energy and add to it. And this is what's called noise. So you have to use what's called plenum cable, which is shielded to where it actually has a drain wire and everything else. The EMFs hit that, and then it sends it to ground. So I know airplanes are all like they all use Wi-Fi now. All their stuff is shielded, but I don't know if they'd be able to use this in the air. I don't see any complication with it, but
Right.
come on, FFA, come on.
It's true. It's a good point.
But then we have our Royal unit, and the Royal unit's a big setup. It'll take care of. It'll do this entire house that I'm in right now, just by setting it up in the living room and letting it run. So everybody in here gets the EMFs off of it, and it knocks out like the high frequency ones.
Wow, it sounds like everyone needs to chip in the house, and
Cough it up.
That one comes with
one for all.
the free base station, everything. It's our most powerful output. The transmitter's 320 watts, and it comes with a free travel unit.
Nice.
Awesome. And you said there's a coupon code through the end of the year?
Yeah, Black 23. It takes 25% off.
Awesome.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Very
Yeah,
awesome.
I'll hook you guys up with a good discount just for having me on. I'll set you guys up with
nice.
one.
Awesome.
Thanks, Matt.
Very
Yeah, no
true.
problem.
So I want to ask you, what do you think about like when we were talking about the energy before, like Tartaria and the old free energy with the mercury and all that shit?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that too.
So a lot of that makes a ton of sense to me. So the way I think the pyramid blocks were done is I think that they have silica in the blocks, and they also had it in the Tura limestone, because silica is really, really good on electrical energy, and
Yeah.
that's how I have my wire manufactured. I have a percentage of it being silica. So mercury, like I think that would turn into a superconductor. Mercury is a superconductor up on very low temperatures. Dude, everything just makes fucking sense.
Yeah.
Especially having mercury inside of a sphere, because then the more energized the mercury is, the more it would spin inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a liquid metal, so it has a lot of weight. And it would just sit there and spin in that sphere, which would actually modulate and regulate different electrical energies it picks up on and draw more in. I'm going to build one and put it up on top of a mountain here.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to hear.
Very cool, man. I'm
I want to
stoked.
see what that sucker's going to do.
Yeah. Who knows? So I know you had some questions about flat Earth. Also, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Dude, yes. The flat Earth. So after we talked about this, like I've been running through my brain just nonstop, and there's no reason I don't think flat Earth could work. I see
Yes.
more problems in a globe Earth now than what I do in a flat Earth.
Yeah, that's what it takes.
So-
It takes looking at it.
Well, my biggest thing is the in and out of the sun and moon. Like during the summer, the sun is closer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that could explain how like different poles have like 6 months of daylight, right? Even though I've never seen it, running off a theory of saying it has 6 months, that would explain that, because on different levels it would shine light across different facets of the Earth.
Yeah.
But why would it move in and out instead of going throughout the same like stagnant routine?
They'll tell you it's because of the wobble of Earth, but then they'll also tell you that we're 3 million miles closer in the northern hemisphere to the sun in our winter than we are in the summer, and it's just because
What?
of the angle. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
literally
man.
the scientific explanation. The Earth wobbles, and because of that wobble, somehow, which I don't know how the wobble makes us 3 million closer, but literally in the northern hemisphere's winter, we are 3 million miles closer to the sun than we are in our winter or in our summer. But because the the angle of the light rays coming in, that's why it's cooler.
Okay, a wobble makes a little bit of sense to me. because they say the Earth is tilted on its axis.
Yeah.
Correct.
So maybe it's not so much of a
At
wobble.
23.3 degrees, which the opposite of that is 66.6, or 23.4, sorry. 23.4, and the opposite is 66.6, so there's that.
But none of the rest of it makes sense. The Earth is going in and out 3 million miles. Who's measuring that?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Once you start to look at it, like they'll tell you, like, oh, we can get the size of planets due to the parallax. Okay, well, you have to know the size of one thing in order to do that. And they're like, oh, well, Venus is the same size as Earth. So when the sun transits it, we can tell you that the sun is this size. And then it's like, well, how do you know Venus is the same size as Earth? It looks like
right here.
It all leads back to stuff like that. And it's just, I mean, like people think you just went into it blindly, and you're clearly an intelligent man. And if you can at least know that there's a problem with the globe theory, that makes me more comfortable, even more comfortable, because it's insane.
Even learning like the science taught to us, it never made sense. Because take Pluto, for example. Nobody has ever seen Pluto.
Yeah.
The way that they say they know Pluto is there is because they looked through the telescope, and as Jupiter was going by, there was a flash of light over the top of it, which told them there's another planet there, and that's how they come up with the size of it. And when I heard that, I'm like, are you retarded?
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
I've seen cars drive to me, and I can't tell the size of the headlight.
Yeah, exactly. There are lights out there. We can't say what they are. And when we say that, they're like, see, you don't know. It's like, that's the thing. As a flat earther, there's tons of stuff that we admit that we can't explain, but we can disprove a horizon at 3 miles for a 6-foot person. We can see further than that. I can tell you that you don't know what size any of these planets are. There's definitely not some rover on Mars that they're controlling with some joystick millions of miles away.
Come on, bro.
No.
They got 30-year life satellites, okay, that are out taking pictures of Pluto. You can Google that.
Dude.
Okay, it's right there. Dude.
No, dude, apparently they're on like all the planets too now, or a lot of them.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
So they've been stationing them
they've
throughout,
been stationed
right?
in Venus, I think.
Okay, so
like the other day I saw
stupidest
like
thing.
one of the first pictures from
It is
Venus.
dumb.
And dude, yeah, they've definitely seen Pluto with the telescope, man. You can see Pluto's face from the Disney character on there. And that's how they came up with the name, dude. Look
Dude,
it up.
it's all so stupid.
It really
like
is.
it makes no sense. Okay, take Elon Musk's Roadster, for example. Oh, he sent his Roadster up and around the moon and then landed it back on Earth, and that's when he drives. Really? Why did his rocket just blow up the other day?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. They're always talking about how he's launching the Starlinks into space. Well, if those are going into space, why the fuck are his rockets blowing up in our faces? I don't get it, man. It makes no sense. And how do you, like, you're a thinking man. So satellites, if they are the size and the distance they tell us they are, there is no way you could see them with your naked eye. It's physically impossible.
Yeah, satellites. Okay, just like the International Space Station. I am fairly confident the ISS exists, and it's out there, and there are people on it. But even through their own data, it's still within the Earth's atmosphere.
Yep.
Like it's not in what they consider
pool.
space.
In Florida, I'm pretty sure.
Texas?
It's definitely in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
We'll give you that.
The neutral buoyancy lab.
It does make sense upon gravity being an electrical charge because you're getting away from the Earth. So everybody on the International Space Station is required to run PEMF mats, which is kind of like a perverted offspring of Rife technology. And because like when people leave the Earth, they leave the Earth's electromagnetic field. Whenever they do that, they get sick, severely sick, and they die. This is the reason they started using this in the 60s for people that was leaving Earth.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
think
so
people can live away from Earth. I don't think they
no,
can.
we're required to have it.
Yeah. We're
So you
electric.
We
think they
have
could
to
be up
have
there
it.
for 3 years? No problem?
No, they have to run the PEMF mats. So essentially, a Rife machine is frequencies upon demand. And I only run natural frequencies. I don't do these perverted high frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
I do the natural frequencies that you can get on Earth, like 18,000 hertz on the beach in Alabama. It's a bright and sunny day. The sun is positively charging all of the ion and the water spray that's in the air, the salt that's traveling through, plus you're getting 10,000 hertz. Collectively, you're going to get around 18,000 hertz of electrical energy. Now, you can get that inside your house now just by turning on the machine. Not everybody can go to the beach every day. I know I can't.
Yeah.
Right.
And people always feel good at the beach. They detox, they have more energy, they feel healthier, they feel more lively. And this is why it's important not to cover your eyes with sunglasses too, because just like we was talking about,
I told
that
you guys.
stimulation up on the eyes.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
been
working on
telling
it.
them for a long time. I stopped
working
wearing
on it.
sunglasses 2 years ago, and I haven't had a single time where the sun has irritated me. It's because your eyes adjust the melanin levels in your skin, and if you're wearing sunglasses, it's blocking it out. Your body doesn't know you're in the sun. It's not adjusting properly. At least that's my take on it. I'm sure you know more.
Yeah, well, and if you're not working your eyes, I mean, your brain's a muscle, and we've already established your eyes are a piece of your brain. You're not working that section. That muscle's going to die.
Yeah.
That's going to cause eye disease.
And if you're on the beach, make sure that you're grounding too, because I hear that basically your whole life is a balance in between recharging your body with the electrons and then other things trying to steal the electrons from you as well. I've heard things like the wind can steal your electrons, and balancing
stagnant
that
things
out.
do. Things that are stagnant that have no life to them steal electrons because they need them. It's a siphon on your body.
Death. That's you.
So basically, everything in our houses are stealing our electrons.
Yeah, your houses are horrible for you. We were never meant to live encapsulated in something that's completely dead, that's never had any life to it. In my cabin, it's all wood from trees that grew right there on that property, and I can shut the doors and windows, and you can always feel a breeze.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Dude, I will tell you this. When we went camping, I have this issue with my fucking shoulder. It bothers me all the time. It's I went to a chiropractor. They're like, yeah, it's this vertebrae. It'll go away. It hasn't gone away. It bothers me. We went camping. It didn't bother me for 3 days straight. The minute I got back to my house, my neck hurt, my shoulder hurt. I'm like, it's the fucking electricity or something. I don't know what it is, man. But being here, either they've targeted me and they're sending some shit my way, or it's just the electricity or something.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that's Elon trying to keep you from typing.
I know. He's like, quit letting people know.
That's exactly what it is. You're missing electrons. Like the trees and everything, they have their own resonant frequency, and they emit energy. Everything living has this. That's how everything survives here on Earth. Like chloroform and plants. Chloroform is what turns plants green.
Yeah.
That resonates at 528 hertz. Why does it require light? Well, light is resonant at 528 hertz.
Well, I hate to be the devil's advocate today, guys, but I'm also wondering how does 5G work, and what kind of things can happen to your body from that, or if it can affect your mood, and also there's all sorts of theories out there.
It's 6 gigahertz up to 60 gigahertz, and this can call it. I'll tell you the story about Royal. He would inject carcinoma virus into pork flesh, dead pork flesh, and he would electrify it to make the carcinoma grow quicker. So think of 5G as doing that to your body.
Excellent.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and you see all these, conditions creeping up more and more that didn't even used to rarely happen, 50, 60, 70 years ago. And you just start to wonder if that has anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Oh, guaranteed.
We're just bombarded with everything. You said the LEDs,
Before the little jabby jab.
5G.
I was just going to
What was the other
say,
one?
YouTube be damned. Why don't you tell us what you think about the vaccines?
Well, there it went.
What kind of frequency are they running on?
I think all things from allopathic medicine except for a few that derive from natural occurring things like penicillin. I think all of them are evil and they will hurt you in some way. There's never been a vaccine that somebody didn't get damaged from.
Yeah.
And this is fact.
Yeah.
There's never been a medicine that somebody didn't get a side effect from. Fact. So when you go down this road, you start looking at, well, this is called the allopathic medical system. And you know, these people, there's so many people that invest in these hospitals and the hospitals do great. Yeah, it's a for-profit system.
Yeah.
It's not there to help you. It's there to make money. If money wasn't being made, nobody would invest into it. And the entire allopathic medical system is a perverse system that preys upon people's bad fortune and the things that they've come into contact with that's harmed them. And they're like, oh, we can fix that. This is a reason I'll debate any doctor out there, because they have such limited knowledge on biology and medical that I know their argument better than they do, and I can correct on how they think.
Love it.
You heard it
Yeah.
here first. I'm just kidding.
That's why when you go to the doctor and bring something up and you try and push towards maybe a more natural approach, they just fluff you off and tell you take this pill and you'll be better, and they're not really getting down to the root cause of the disease.
They don't
Not
know.
only
Because they don't know.
Yeah.
They have no clue.
No. Go ahead, Deb.
They look at you like you're dumb, and then like what do you know, dude?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I heard some shit, and I would like to ask you about it without being an asshole.
That's exactly it.
Well, I mean, the whole system is just all money, money, money. Because, okay, like I own a company. I want one of you guys to work for me, and I will teach you everything I know to be able to operate and run my company for me and make me money. But during training, you have to pay me. I will give you a loan. I'll charge you a lot of interest, and I will teach you the things only I want you to know.
Yeah.
Only the things that are good and beneficial for me. And then when you go to work, I'll give some of your money back. And it'll essentially, it's going to take you about 30 years to pay off the loans. And I'll keep you alive.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it's just another mechanism control, and this way they get to control you two ways. It's like, you're not going to be better without me, and also I get to take your money so you have less power in this world.
Right.
Yeah.
And while all that's going on, we're gonna print money like it's Weimar Germany.
I mean, I don't see that as a bad thing. Dude, my only thing with money, like, I don't care about money. I'm one of the few people you can stick in the woods and I'll not only survive, I will thrive.
Yeah.
But money, I have to have it for an access to resources. That's it.
For sure.
Like if I didn't have it, I couldn't help other people out. So other than that, like, good, let it all burn. I don't care.
Yeah. Right there.
Oh,
with
it's
you,
gonna.
man.
It's a matter of time.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole system's such a piss poor design. And this is the reason they're like, oh, we're going to sell these records for 70 years because we don't want anybody to know yet. It's like, yeah, you guys will be dead by then.
Yep. That's about how long it'll last. You know, none of these systems are designed to thrive past a certain amount of time.
Yeah, it's all short-term thinking. They're not planting trees so that their grandchildren can enjoy the shade. They want somebody to grow a tree for them or pretend to be a tree so they can have shade now.
Yeah.
There you
Pretend
go.
to
And that
be
goes
a
exactly
tree.
what you were talking about with growing food and everything like that. They've made it completely dependent on them. You know?
Yeah. I mean, we are stock. I mean, that's all we are. You know, when they invest into stocks, they're looking at how good their employees work. They're looking at the internal workings of that system and how well everyone that's there working daily are doing their job and what the quality control is.
Productivity.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how long is it till you become a domestic terrorist and start creating free energy?
Bro, I'm already on so many fucking lists. I'm sure of it. No, I got a call. I will not produce free energy for anybody. I did get a call from a 3-letter agency a little over a year ago. And they told me, listen, if you provide free electric to one single person, you will be considered a global terrorist at that point. And you'll be domestic here up on U.S. soil because you upset the world economy so
Wow.
badly, there's no recovering from it.
Yeah, what's so wrong
Are
with
you
that?
serious?
Well, there it goes. That's why we'll never have nice things.
Yeah, everything's the economy. Everything.
Because it's so fucking great right now, let me tell you.
You know? You have to preserve that, you know?
It's only great
Like,
if
look-
you don't go grocery shopping. Then you know.
Well, I mean, food prices may be high, but do you know how many jobs were created?
Yeah. Second and third jobs, you mean?
It's crazy. It's like people are looking at this like, yeah, we have a lot more jobs, and maybe now if I get a third job, I can afford food. Thanks, Joe Biden.
I know.
Yeah, none of them pay a wage enough to, provide a comfy lifestyle.
It's safe to assume you're not a liberal.
Dude, I'm not anything.
Yes, me
Like,
neither. I
you're a
always
free
say
thinker.
that.
Mhm.
Fuck them all, if you
Common
ask me.
senser.
I make fun of every one of them.
Oh, they all get it.
You know, the only thing Trump can put out is debt and a 6'7", 15-year-old boy. That's it.
I know, that is a little weird. Fucking Nephilim
Dude.
kid, that's what he is.
He's a freak of nature.
And I think he probably just slept next to a copper rod.
Probably.
Yeah.
Electroculture
Electroculture.
works. You heard it
There
here.
you go.
Fucking
I'm gonna start making copper dildos and selling them. No, you need this, ladies.
Yes. You do. You have to.
You're gonna put Gwyneth Paltrow out of business.
Good.
I was
Dude,
just
you probably got
thinking,
vaccinated
I was
anyway.
just thinking, this is a great episode, man. I can't wait to tell my mom to tune in, and then you had to do that, Matt.
Don't act like your mom doesn't know about copper dildos, Rufus.
Oh man,
Dude, it's been an
Well,
absolute pleasure, though.
It really has.
We are
man.
coming
It's
up
been
on
so
2
cool.
hours. I can't even believe we had you
I know,
for
it
this
flew
long.
by.
It's awesome.
No, dude, this has been fun.
People have a attention span problem. They won't listen past certain amounts of time. It's a real.
Well, it doesn't matter. They don't have an internal monologue to tell them to turn it off.
There you
That's
go.
true. They're just still going.
They're going to sit there and drool on themselves for having a watch Pornhub. Now everybody shut it off and went straight towards that.
Yeah.
Dude, all right, but studies have shown that at least like 80 to 85% of our listeners do have an internal monologue. So we're good.
We're
You know,
good.
they'll shut it off. They'll shut it off about halfway through.
I really,
That was good.
I really feel like podcasts that talk about stuff versus television shows that are all fantasy really is the divide for people. Like if you were to take a poll, how much TV do you watch per week? You can kind of figure out who has an internal monologue and who doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you could. Absolutely.
Their monologue comes from the TV.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, they just sit there and just I don't even know how that works. How do you drive?
Well, I live in South Florida, and it makes total sense because these motherfuckers can't drive at all.
Dude,
Oh,
and
yeah, that's true.
think about it. I mean, I know people that they can't go anywhere without the GPS on. Like, I mean, to like work every day
Anywhere,
and stuff.
Yeah.
Like the same routes. So there you go. It's like, how do they drive? Well, they've been given this thing that could tell them where to go. No, don't.
Okay,
think
you
about
know
it. We
what?
got you.
Now that you say that, I'm starting to get on board with Musk, Tesla, and Neuralink.
You just
We gotta
sold it
separate the
for
wheat
me.
from the chaff.
Create the problem and come up with the solution.
Well,
It's perfect.
They're
business
they're
model.
already the problem. I want to stay safe on the
Mhm.
road. Get him, Musk. I'll hold him down and let you drill it into their head.
And you know what? Say what you want. Say what you want about the level heads, but their brain stimuli is going on, and at least they're thinking about stuff where the majority of the people who may or may not be really even looking into what the globe is and what our realm might possibly be, they're the ones that, you know, are filling themselves up with garbage like TV, and we're hanging out talking on Friday nights when everyone else is out at the bar trying to figure out, you know, what's going on in this world.
Well, you know, I've actually, since I've been in like a customer service business, I've ran into some people like this. Like how I was telling you, my travel unit's rechargeable, right? I had this person, and I'm going to tell all your listeners, listen, if you guys buy a Rife machine from me and you tell me these issues like this, and I'm going to make fun of you too. Okay. I will go on every podcast and I'll tell your story. But this girl, she's like, well, it worked for the first couple of days and then it just quit working. I'm like, okay, like, do you have the ball? Have you checked that? Well, I don't have the ball, but I put dirt on it and the dirt didn't move.
Oh,
What?
I'm like, why the fuck did you put dirt on it?
Why the fuck did you put dirt on it?
And she's like, well, I also put salt. Like, what? Hey, listen, I have a 30-day money-back guarantee. When did you order this? Because I don't want you to have it. And she's like, no, I want to keep it. And it turns out she just didn't recharge it.
Oh my god.
oh.
You're like, we don't need you getting better. You need to send my machine back. Whatever's wrong with you needs
Yeah.
to grow.
Well, you know what? You gotta at least give the lady credit for trying to touch some dirt. You know, because I recommend that every day.
Bro, she might eat it every day, though. That's the problem. We don't know what these people are doing.
You can't
that's that
control who your
bentonite clay.
customer is, man.
Like she was given a ball, like she couldn't find anything, even like at least a rock or something, like remotely round, smooth, something. It's just dirt. Like,
Well, I call it a ball, but it's literally a magnet. And in the handbook, it calls it a magnet. But
you're
it's
expecting
like,
them to
why-
read, though. They're not reading.
I'm at least expecting them to function at the intelligence level of a stray cat.
Oh, I got a good question, man. Actually, that's hilarious. But I got a really good question because it came up in like kind of a debate the other day that we were in, and I feel like it just kind of got glossed over and nobody really got to it. But kind of there's a theory that the sun is a magnet or an electromagnet, and it doesn't actually like create any heat, but produces heat somehow. Could you explain how that could be possible and how magnets can create heat without actually being hot?
Well, magnets, what they are, it's an alignment of the electrons inside of the atoms, right? So when the atoms are all aligned, that's what creates a magnet. So just like a screwdriver, if you run it across a magnet and you keep on stroking it in the same direction, it aligns everything, then your screwdriver's magnetized.
mm-hmm.
So an electromagnet, totally different. This is their electrical energy. Now we know that if you pump enough electrical energy through wire, it's going to get hot, just like tungsten filament that we were just talking about within light bulbs. That's how they work. The reason they don't burn out is because they don't oxidize, because there's a gas inside of them, inside the bulb.
Yeah.
Break that bulb, they'll burn right out because oxidization from the heat will just make them burn. Now, in that theory about the sun, that would make a lot of sense if our entire solar system is electrical. And just like Tesla said, everything is energy. So, yeah, I mean, we do know that when solar flares happen, it puts off an electromagnetic pulse, and that can wipe out the globe's entire electrical system. So, I mean,
I was like, oh, don't
No
get him on
judging
that.
No, it
the
takes
lid, the surface.
it takes
So you
years,
said-
man. It takes years. You're there. It just takes years to drop the lingo. Like I still have a problem. I'll be like the atmosphere, and then I'm like, shit, that has sphere in it. I can't say that.
Hemisphere, atmosphere.
I
yeah.
know it's hard.
Oh,
but-
so you were saying that it can produce the heat by passing it through a wire, but could it
electrical
could it,
resistance produces heat. It causes friction.
could it achieve the same kind of heat by passing it through like something like noble gases? Because that would make sense with the noble gases and the colors that we get in the sunsets.
Yeah, so that would be just considered plasma activity. Like the lightning above us, right? We know that lightning's hot. that electricity is essentially hot. It's, it can start fires because it's hot. And whenever there's high electrical activity, it excites electrons. Now, our atmosphere is what, like 80% nitrogen? It's overactive electrons that are producing lightning. That's it. It's not an electrical charge. I mean, it is, but it's plasma activity.
Yeah.
The same way you make a plasma cell. Just like those little balls you buy from Spencer's, stick your hand on them, you see all the little lightning things.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's plasma.
Have you ever heard of sprites?
Like the little fairy things that gay people get
Dude,
tattooed on?
you should look at
No, like that.
No, not the fairies,
atmosphere.
not the soda. It's above the lightning, and it looks like energy being injected into our system.
No.
If you haven't looked into sprites, man, it literally looks like it's coming out of what the Levelhead crew calls the firmament, and it looks like energy just blasting out. And I don't know if it's something that like equalizes the system. It's definitely a phenomenon that is real. It's definitely real, and it's something that we've never been taught about. So if you want, I can send you some videos about it too. It's really cool.
Yeah,
they are.
100%.
They'll blow your mind.
Honestly, I never get any traction on my posts about sprites, so it really makes me think that there's something there, man. No, they should learn about it, but I think
post them.
The algo.
Post them and send them to me in DM, and I'll try to push them out for you.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool, man.
I've had a lot of flat Earth questions kind of coming together talking to you, Mr. Matthew.
It comes together.
Yeah, man.
Dude, only thing I'm questioning now, like whenever I go and do these health conventions and I do speeches, now I'm never going to be able to say globe or sphere.
I
don't know. If I say realm, there'd probably be a lot of people cheering.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, it's growing, man. You see these polls everywhere now, and I'm not saying polls dictate reality, but it definitely shows you that people are waking up for sure, that they're at least questioning where they live, who they are, what they are, all of that. And it's awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, it tells you what the climate is about it for sure.
Yeah, and the fact that some of them have 20% of I don't know, that shows you right there that, you're getting 40%.
At least people are thinking.
Yeah, no, they're questioning it, like you said.
Questioning it.
Like
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna guess that the people who are looking into your kind of stuff are the exact same people that are going to be questioning, the
everything,
whatever our realm is.
Dude, I want to start some trouble with it now. I'm going on a flat Earth rant. I'm going to start challenging people, everything. This is ridiculous. I love the chaos, so yeah, I'm all in.
It's awesome. That's
dude, you're the man.
Shaking it up and making people think.
Right?
I'm going to hurt people's feelings.
Welcome to the club, brother.
And you're the kind of person that has the knowledge to be able to do that too. Like, we're just a bunch of dumbasses. Well, maybe not Ted, but
bro, you can't say that. You guys brought flat Earth to me. Hey,
I'm just hold on.
We all
hold on. Full pause. I need that recorded. Who brought flat Earth to you?
You guys brought flat Earth to me and made me really hit that turning point about how objective have I been on what I've been told.
Dude, you don't even know how much it means to me that Royal Rife's great nephew just told me that I brought flat Earth to him. Dude, I don't even care if I sound like a fucking dork.
You just made our day, man.
It went full circle now. This is one of the first things I came into as a truther, and now I brought this motherfucker flat Earth. I'm good. Y'all can say whatever you want.
It's over.
I'm good.
There we go. Dude, I hope you get discredited so I can go down with you.
Yes.
At this point.
I love it.
I mean, I feel like it's highly unlikely at this point.
Dude, and it's hard to discredit people who say we don't know. We don't know. We just know that we can see too far. We know that. Just think about how if all the stars are trillions of miles, different distances, and multiple different sizes, why do they all look relatively the same size? If you look at the inverse square law of light, that makes no sense. They try to justify it as, oh, the light travels all the way, and then when it hits our atmosphere, it does something different. Just like how is the moon's shadow during an eclipse smaller than the moon? You can't produce a shadow smaller than an object. None of these things make sense. And when you really look into them, you're like, what the fuck have I believed my whole life?
Yeah, man. Common sense starts coming back to you. You know, like that lady you were talking about. If she were a flat earther, she wouldn't have put dirt on the machine, dude. You know,
Bro, if she had the IQ of a lizard, she would have never put dirt on the machine.
Oh God, that's so good.
Oh man. And when you can start to pair up the logic with then your knowledge of the mechanics about how a lot of these different systems work, man.
Dude,
then you just got a recipe to
you're gonna be
plow through anything, man.
Next time we have him back on, he's just gonna be talking about how everything works together, his machines with the flat Earth and everything. He's just gonna be sit down, shut up, and I'm gonna school you right now.
Lay it out.
Exactly.
That's how it goes.
I'm gonna start telling people like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm indecisive." Well, make a fucking decision. Just stick with it and dig in.
Dig the heels in. That's how we do it. Oh my God!
Man,
this
what a
has
night!
been an absolute pleasure, my man. I can't even believe how fun. This
So
has been.
good. This has been one of my favorite episodes, man.
Yep.
Definitely.
I love them all, but you have just had so much knowledge, and it's been really cool kicking it with you.
Thank you so much, man. And we're definitely gonna be putting your links up for your website and
tell everybody where to find you, where to buy your stuff,
how do we learn
where
about
to
your
get you,
products?
all that.
All right, so my website is realrifetechnology.com, not fake Rife Technology like all these other companies. You can find me on X at Rife Technology, and you can find me on TikTok at Rife Machine. Those are the only I use Real Rife Technology on Instagram, but I'm not gay, so I don't really go on there that much. Find me on X.
Fair enough.
Oh, that's awesome. So, yes, it's been a real pleasure. This is always where we say death, fade it out. And we will, there's music going on right now. You can't hear it, but I assure you it's happening.
This has been one of my favorite podcasts. This has really been a lot of fun. Thank you, guys.
Oh, my God. That means so much to us.
Oh, I'll hit you up with that info about sprites, man, and I want to hear. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and once you're a full-blown flat earther, we'll have you back and see how you connect it to everything else.
After I make 10 people cry, that's whenever I'm going to say it.
10? You got some catching up to do, man.
That's rookie numbers.
Daily thing for us.
It's so good. So it was so nice to have you, man. We will definitely talk again soon. Anything you ever want to share with us, just send us our way. We'll help push it. Anything, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Have a great week.
Peace.
Later, guys. Stay blessed.
Later.